Okay, we're on Kuf Amid Beis. Kuf Amid Beis. We are at the bottom line, second line from the bottom of Rav. Bnei Adam, excuse me. So tonight's sugi is the sugi of Kiddush b'Makom Suda. We all know the term. Just as Derech Hakdama, there's Zachar Yom Shabbos L'Katshai. Shtein Torah, Zachar Yom Shabbos L'Katshai. There's a mitzvah deraisa to make Kiddush. There's a mitzvah deraisa to make Kiddush. The mitzvah deraisa. Whether the only Friday night, not on Shabbos. The Haflah says why only Friday night is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu he entered Shabbos b'dibur. In other words, he created Shabbos, he created Menucha. And it says Vayechalu Kim Bayom Hashvi. We say in Vayechulu, guys, Vayechalu Kim Bayom Hashvi, and Hashem went ahead and he completed on the seventh day, right? He completed on the seventh day. Now he didn't work on the seventh day. So Rashi says right away, he says Bosh, he created Menucha. He created something called Menucha. So Menucha was in other words, he was nichnis b'Menucha, and as a result, what the purpose of Kiddush is that we declare it Shabbos. We make a declaration, Menucha, we're declaring Shabbos. Therefore, it's only in the Kenisa of Shabbos. Once Shabbos started already, you have the Menucha, but as Shabbos begins, we go ahead and declare this is Menucha Shabbos, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by Echalak HaMei V'Shvi, he completed Mamish the seventh day, he completed Menucha. So therefore, there's only, but this mitzvah is the rice. Now, whether you make it on wine or not, whether wine is part of the Kiddush, is the rice, that's the Machlokes Rishonim. Whether that's Machlokes Rishonim, that is Machlokes Rishonim. We know in lieu of wine, you use mitzi, right? But whether that's a Machlokes, but everyone says that Kiddush is the rice, and that's only Friday night. Shabbos, it's the Rabbanan. Shabbos, the Rabbanan. Suda, there's a mitzvah of eating a Suda. There's a mitzvah of eating 3 Sudas, right? And according to Chitkiya, there's a 4th Suda, right? We had on Kuf Yud Zayin in Shabbos, right? The Suda Splitkiya, the 4th Suda. So there's also, now that's also, whether Suda is the rice or not, it's also, that's a Machlokes Rishonim, whether it's the rice or the Rabbanan. But clearly, now Kiddush b'Makom Suda, so you have a synopsis of 2 things. You have the mitzvah of Kiddush and the mitzvah of Suda, right? And that you need Kiddush b'Makom Suda, we'll find the source for it. So that's basically the Hakdama. And Bez Hashem, let's go through the sugi. There's 2 sugyas tonight. There's a Kiddush Makom Suda, and then there's a sugi of Shini Machem, Linyan Brachas. If you Mishana, you leave in the middle of your meal. If you Mishana your meal, you have to make a bench, and you have to go ahead and make a Nach Bracha, a Far Bracha. That's a separate sugi. But tonight, the first part will be Kiddush Makom Suda. We'll see some halachas on it, and then we'll go to the second part of this year. So let's begin. Kuf Amid Beis Bnei Adam Shekitshu Bebeis HaKnesses. Bnei Adam, they make Kiddush in the Beis HaKnesses. Now, they used to make Kiddush in the Beis HaKnesses, and even Bisman Hazeh, in the more modern shuls, they still make Kiddush, right? If you have a little kid, it makes Kiddush right after, like in Fishnetz, right? And so they will make Kiddush in the shul, and we'll see why in a second. So that Kiddush that you make in the shul, Amar Rav, says Rav, Yedei Yayin Lo Yatsu, regarding making a bracha in the on Yayin, you are not Yaitza. Yedei Kiddush Yatsu. But Yedei Kiddush, you are Yaitza. Let's see Rashbam, guys. Yedei Yayin Lo Yatsu. What does that mean? You're not Yaitza Yayin. Shim Yesh Lehem Yayin Bebeisam Lishtois Chayavim Levorech Bori Priagofen. Why? She'ena Peturim Bebirches Hakoy Shel Shtias Yayin Beshos Beis HaKnesses Me'acha She'okrum Komo. You were in shul, you made the bracha, you made a bori piyat gofen, you come home, right? And you're going to have a gefen, you're going to make bori piyat gofen again. Because the act of leaving shul, according to Rashbam, is hesach hadas. We know if you have hesach hadas from one bracha, you have to make a new bracha. Right? So therefore, that v'tzarch levorech. So when it says, Amar Rav, yidei kiddush lo yatsu, what does it mean? Yayin lo yatsu? Le'inyan the bracha to pata you from your house, you're not yatsa. That's what it means. It's very, very ambiguous lesson. And the yayin, not yayin. So what yayin are we talking about? We're talking about the yayin. You're going to go when you come home. You are oikem mekayma. You hesach hadas, and therefore what? You're going to go not make another bracha. Aval amagdish bebeisay al shulchanay b'Shabbos, right? Ain't it tzarich levarach al yayin shebetech hasuda? Shrei patru yayin shlufnei hasuda. But you're going to go ahead. You make Shabbos when you make a bracha on yayin. That patis no hesach hadas. That patis. that now. But they kiddush yatsa, you would be yatsa your kiddush. You would be says Rav. I'm not yatsa yayin, but I would be yatsa my chi of kiddush. I was going to ask that again. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, yes, Mendy.
I want to know if you yatsa kiddush. You made a kiddush.
Says Rav, not you. The kiddush. You are yatsa. You are yatsa.
You just gotta make another bracha.
Yeah. Again, let's see. Again, I realize let's learn a little bit. I'm speaking out too much. Let's see the Gemara. Then let's go. Amar you the yayin lo yatsu, you the kiddush yatsu. So you would be yatsa yayin, that you won't be yatsa yayin, and you have to make another bracha, but you the kiddush yatsu. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says no. After they kiddush la yatsu, not only you're not yatsa your bracha on wine, even they kiddush la yatsu. Now El Rav lo malei likdushe bebeisa. Good question, right? If you're yotze in shul, why do you have to go ahead and make a kiddush in your house? What's the answer, Mendy? To be yotze your wife and your children. So if you were alone, you wouldn't have to. Again, no. The purpose of kiddush in shul is for people who are in shul who are not at home. So people who live in shul. That's what we'll see in a second. Shmuel lamali likdushe bebeis kanista. Like Shmuel, since I have to make it when I get home to my house, why do I making it in shul? If I have to make it when I get home, why am I making it in shul? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Lafuke archim, to be motzi, the archim, the guest, yedechei vasan, the achlu b'shasu v'ganu be'kanista. They eat and they drink and they live in shul. You know, it used to be, I think, if I remember correctly, that they're in shul, the people didn't have a place to eat. Would go to the ladies section or they go to a place and people would know the archim that you have to go and look for archim over there. And then there were people who just stayed in shul. They didn't have a place to eat. They stayed in shul. The place speaks out how you're allowed to eat in shul. You know, again, how you're allowed to eat in shul, where they have a separate room or it was built on the Tanai. I said, Bisman said it's built on the Tanai, you daven there. If I say so, you're going to eat there. It's built on the Tanai, you're going to daven there.
You once had a picture. They had like a little room there where they did eat.
What?
Picture you brought in. Had like a little room there, and that was like.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't bring in the picture. What you're thinking of is the Gemara in Eruvin that we had, where there was he was sleeping there, and he wanted to know whether he had to make an Eruv between him. He was sleeping there. So there was a little base Knesset on the side, right? There was a room, and that was the picture. Yeah, we had it on the. I don't remember the daf, but yeah, that's the picture. I do remember that picture. Okay, so let's go through again. According to Rav, you're not Yotzi Yechiv Yayin. Why? Because it has a Chadas. You would be Yotzi Yechiv Kiddush. Why are you making Kiddush again in your house? You're making for your wife and kids. And you're not Yotzi anything.
It's only Friday night.
Only Friday night. There's only Friday night. Now, before we jump to, now, what's the Svaras Machlokes? Because the Shmuel Tamei, and Shmuel goes according to his reasoning. The Amar Shmuel in Kiddush Ella b'makam Suda. There's only Kiddush b'makam Suda. So you all know the term in Kiddush Ella b'makam Suda. Now, why is that? Why is it, fellas, that you need Kiddush in the place that you eat? Why is that? Says the Rashbam. After they Kiddush layat, so Shmuel says you wouldn't be if you make it in shul, you wouldn't be the Kiddush. Kiddush Parshina time will kamei, as we'll explain later on. In Kiddush El B'Makam Suda, Ichsiv, it says V'Karasa l'Shabbos Einig, and you shall call Shabbos Einig. You should call it a pleasure. You should call Shabbos Einig. B'Makam Sha'ata Kairi l'Shabbos, the place where you declare and you announce Shabbos, Kriya the Kiddush Sham, the Hey Einig. The Klama Kriya the Kiddush Sham the Einig uMedrishu. So here's guys a medrash. What's the reason why Kiddush Makam Suda? Very famous pasuk. The Karasa Shabbos Einig, the place where you call Shabbos Sham Te Einig. The place where you call Shabbos, meaning how do you call Shabbos? By making Kiddush. Sham there should be your Einig. That should be your pleasure. So therefore, Kiddush Makam Suda is the medrash based upon a pasuk. Says the Gemara, Inami Svarahi. It's a svara. Made the ikva Kiddush alayayin when they were kadeya to make Kiddush on wine. Kiddutanya, come as we'll see. Zachrei alayayin. It says you should be zacha alayayin. Mistama alayayin shebishas suda ukfu. Mistama. What are we speaking about? What guys? Which yayin are we speaking about? Probably the yayin that hukfu that right. that Kaideya the Suda, of course, is Choshev. So according to two Pshatim in Rashbam, one, it's a Medrash, because Shabbos Einig, the place where you call out Shabbos, there should be Einig. The other one's a Svara. Once they went ahead and Kiddush, they said Zachar, Zachrei El Yayin, it makes sense which Yayin? The Yayin that you Kaideya the Suda on, and therefore you need Kiddush Makom Suda. So that's a suggestion, and this is what it is, that Kiddush Makom Suda. And we'll see some of the lachas. Now, Savamina, Hani Mili, Mebayas Labayas, they held to say, when do you need, right? Where do you go ahead and make Kiddush Makom Suda? That's when you go from one house to another house. But what Makom Chad Beisa is not, says the Ishmam. Hani Mili, when do we say this? Hani Mili, the Kiddush El Makom Suda, El Bayis Labayas. Go to two separate houses. Al Makom Bayis La Aliyah, Ain't Sarach Latzal Kaddish. Let's say you go ahead, guys, in your own house. You're in the attic. You have food in the attic. Then you go down. You would think not. Kamash Mondim following Maisa. I'm back in the Gemara. I'm Ravanan. Many times I was sitting in front of Shmuel. V'nachas me Igra Ara, and he went from the Igra, from the attic to the ground floor. V'hadam Magdish, and l'chayro it was Magdish. So you see that that he held that it's two separate parts. That even though he made Kiddush above, he has to make Kiddush below. The Afra of Huna Saba in Kiddush. What? No, different place. It's not a Makom Suda. It's separate Makom. Two separate places. The Afra of Huna Saba in Kiddush El Makom Suda. Even Rav Huna says in Kiddush El Makom Suda. Rav Huna Kiddush. Rav Huna made Kiddush. This Akwile Sharga, and the light went out. Sharga is a candle, and I guess tipped over something, and the lights went out. It was dark, and he couldn't eat. So what did he do? So the Ayle Lemane Lebe Ganane de Rabbi, he picked up his mane, his garments or his kalim, and he brought it to Lebe Ganana. That was what was called the Chubas Chasanim, was the house of they would live in this house when they first got married, and he went there to Rabbi Bray. Rabbi Shargad, where it was light. And what did he do there? The Kiddush, with Midi. He made Kiddush and he tasted something. Al Maksavit in Kiddush Ela B'Makan Suda. Right? Not Hesach Hadas. Hesach Hadas would be a din in the bracha. Hesach Hadas is a din making a new bracha. This is speaking about making Kiddush. Understand? Hesach Hadas is a din, in a new bracha. Hesach Hadas, you have to make a new bracha. But this is speaking about making Kiddush again. Yes.
He was judged the Kiddush himself. Actually, you make it for his family.
You can make Kiddush many times.
Yes, my brother-in-law.
That's Gary, yeah.
You can make Kiddush many times.
Friday night also?
You can make Kiddush many times. What?
You told me about Friday.
This is Friday night, but you can make Kiddush again.
What is Kiddush?
No, Vaychul Shemaim is not Kiddush. Okay, now this is important. This is important. Let me ask a question. What's Kiddush? Vaychul Shemaim. Vaychul Shemaim is not Kiddush. Vaychul Shemaim is Edus that Hashem created the world. Now you really should not say it. You really should not say. You said Vaychul twice in shul, right? What's the whole reason you're saying it when you get home? Is for your wife and children who weren't in shul. That's the only reason you say Vaychulu. Kiddush is the bracha and the following paragraph. That's Kiddush. Vaychulu is Edus that Hashem created the world.
If a person is home alone, he wouldn't think when they make Kiddush, he would say.
I think since that they made that matbeya, you would keep it. But the reason it was made that way was for that. Yeah. And there's a very interesting reason. What's the reason you say it twice Friday night? If you just said in Shemona Esrei, why are you repeating it? I told. This is a very little known halacha, but I mentioned it twice in Shir. Twice. And the third time. Third time's a charm.
That's why I say by Chulu 3 times.
This. No, usually right now you're out. Anyway, Kishon. Guys, listen, the whole reason you say it Friday night is the possibility during the year where you won't say it Friday night. When is that? When Yom Tov falls down on Shabbos. When Yom Tov falls down on Shabbos, right? You say Sholosh Regalim. So you don't say it. So therefore, you say Vayechulu, right? For that time, they instituted Vayechulu for the time that you won't say Vayechulu. For that lashon. In other words, since you wouldn't say it that time, we have to say Vayechulu. Because you wouldn't say in the Shemona Esrei that time. And Sholosh Regalim, you're not saying Shemona Esrei. So they were talking it afterwards. So we say the whole year for that one day. Now what? Okay, that's okay. That's what I like to. I like to just go through the Indian. We'll see a little bit halacha. Okay, well let's go through it. Okay, you good?
Don't you say the Chul twice to say, before Shemona Esrei, say it again after Shemona?
Why are you saying it after Shemona Esrei for the time when you won't say it on Shemona Esrei?
But you say-
So say you could say but. Let's make it official. Say but. Say but. Make it official.
However,
Watch. I see, guys, listen, watch. You daven Friday night, you say by Yechulu, correct? There's no reason in the world you should repeat by Yechulu after Yishmon Esrei. Zero. You said it once, you're going to say it at home for your wife and kids. Good? The whole reason you repeat it that second time is the time of the year where you won't say Yishmon Esrei. When is that? When Yontif falls out on Shabbos. If Yontif falls out on Shabbos, you're not going to say by Yechulu and Yishmon Esrei. Therefore, it's necessary to say it afterwards.
So then why are we
You
so
still didn't get it.
high?
You didn't get it.
You beside Shemona Esrei, you say it once before Shemona Esrei, once after Shemona Esrei.
Where do you say it before Shemon Esrei? What?
Shemona Esrei.
No, you don't say by Yechulu.
I don't start.
Yeah, but a lot of times you down Friday night, down in
You still say by Yechulu.
oh,
You don't say it afterwards. We say by Yechulu. But again, that's it in by Yechulu. By Yechulu is not Kiddush. Here we're speaking about Kiddush.
If your wife and children,
Why are we so mad with Avis?
What?
Why are we so mad with that you say over someone else's Avis if you don't say Principal? If it's only Tashlum and times that we don't say it.
You're still not, but it Adis. Once it is Adis. That it is. Yes, someone else there. Who's there?
so yeah, Mordechai. Sorry, I'm in the car.
I'm listening.
If your wife and children daven Marav, then you shouldn't be saying it at all.
Okay, again,
Okay,
so you'd have to ask, if your wife happens to daven Ma'ariv, show of hands.
Your wife does matter. She should be learning Gemara too.
No, my wife does daven Ma'ariv, and she stands along Shemona Esrei. Now, so that's,
You said once, say,
yeah, I think again, you have to ask. No, again, okay. Anyway, so Rav Huna, when did he say Kiddush again? Now, V'tayim midi and l'chayra, do you see that what did he eat, guys? What did he eat? Let's see Tosfos. Te'imu midi, nira dahainu te'imas lechem. He ate some lechem. Kidaminu peragami d'shvuas. Kidami inshi. Nitim midi v'ozli v'achli v'shasu. The moil mini targimo lahashlam gimel sudo Shabbos k'moy b'sukkah. And if the mini targima is that enough to go ahead and be mashlam for the sudas and Shabbos like it does by sukkah, and it have to be sudas shlishis. You can only eat mezainis in the sudas shlishis. Avalei b'sudas arabish v'shachris shehem ikar kavod Shabbos. When it says over here toyim midi, you might think, he went there, he some fruit, he had a piece of cake. No, he washed. Because the only way you can be yaitza is with bread. There's a day you can be yaitza with cake. That's only for Shudah Shlishis, but not for Ikar Kavod Shabbos, which is Friday night and Shabbos day. So that's okay. But again, we'll see Bez Hashem. We'll see this. We do Kiddush Suda. You eat mezainis. That's why you makbid in shul to have mezainis. If you stay by Kiddush, right? You always makbid eat a mezainis for this reason.
Shabbos day, you have to come home and make Kiddush again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's Friday night and Shabbos day, the same thing. Even though
No, Shabbos day is the Rabbana, but you can't go ahead. If you make Kiddush in shul, you should make it by your table again. Right? You should make it by your table again. That's your Makom Suda. That's your place of Suda.
Even if you had Mazonis before.
Again, that's not your Makom Suda. There's a tshuva from Moshe that I'm not clear on, so I can't repeat it. It's not clear, but I'm not sure. I can't say it because I don't know what I'm talking about. So, okay. Anyway, says the Gemara. Even Rabbi Saba in Kiddush al Makom Suda. Rabbi also holds his own Kiddush al Makom Suda. Dom Rabaya. Rabbi says Ki Avina Beimar, when we were in the yeshiva Beimar, Ki Hami Magdish, when he made Kiddush Amala, he would say this Tima Midi. Rabbi, who was the Rebbe, and in fact he was the uncle of Abaya, so he told him eat something, and the eat something means lechem, because Dilma Adas Lisu Lishpisa Maybe by the time you get home to your inn, I guess they stayed, they didn't have a dormitory. The lights will go out. Right. And the kiddush over here, you won't be yaitza. Then kiddush el makom suda. So therefore, be sure to go ahead and eat something. So now, is it really so that Rabbi said you need kiddush makom suda? Now, guys, let's go through it again. Rav says you do not need kiddush makom suda. Shmuel says you do need kiddush makom suda. Who is being machmir? Shmuel. Shmuel is being machmir, right? Rav is being makel. You don't need kiddush makom suda, and Shmuel is being machmir. You do need makom suda. Is it really so that Rabbah held like Shmuel and not like Rav? Again, is it true that he held like Rabbah and not like Rav? Aiva Amar Abaya. Abaya says Amar Abaya. Kol mili demar, everything demar that the master, that Rabbah did, have you ever Karav? He did like Rav. Levar mihani plas, with the exception of these three things, the Abid Kishmuel, which he went ahead and he did, and he did like Shmuel, and he did like Shmuel. What are the three things that he did like Shmuel? A matir mi beged lebeged. He went to take sisters of one beged and put on another beged. Two, umadlikin miner lener by Chanukah. He would light from one ner to another ner. And three, v'alacha kreb Shimon b'gerira, and the halacha is like Shimon regarding pulling a chair or a stool. The Tanya, famous Gemara in Shabbos, Shimon Aimer goyra adam mita kisa b'safsel. A person can schlep a bed, a chair, or a bench for Shabbos, even though, guys, he's going to make a chritz, he's going to make a furrow. This is Dav Hashem Eskavin that we discussed. No. So now you have a kasha. How can you tell me that that a Rabbi held that you need kiddush b'makom suda? He did everything like Rav, and the only three places he passed like Shmuel are these three places by Tzitzis, Chanukah, and Shabbos. Says the Gemara, and for the Gemara, Kechumri the Rav havi avid. He always did like the Chumris the Rav. Kekuli the Rav loy havi avid. But in other words, when did he pass like Rav? Linyan Chumris. But in this place over here, three Chumris, there are three Chumris that he passed like Shmuel. Those three Chumris, right? The three coolest he passed like Shmuel was Begel the Begel, Malikim Ner Ner, and Allah Dav Hashem Miskavin. But in Chumrah, the only place he would pass like Shmuel, and here's an example of it where he passed in what that you need Kiddush b'makom suda, that you need Kiddush b'makom suda. Now, one more opinion. Again, let's go over the opinions. Rav said what if you making shul? What's the halacha? Yidei yayin lo yatsa. Since why you have chadas when you come home, you're gonna have to make a bari pri akafen. Good. What about linyan Kiddush? Yaitza. Why are you making Kiddush again? For your wife and kids. According to Shmuel, not only are you not Yaitza Yayin, you're also not Yaitza Kiddush, because you need Kiddush b'makom suda. For us, says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Amar, af yedei Yayin nami Yatza. You even would be Yaitza yedei Yayin. Mamish the third shita. Let's see Taisus here. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, af yedei Yayin Yatzu. Umayri sheshasu beis hakneses. You drank in the beis hakneses. Afagad b'linyan Kiddush Yatza b'shmiya. Even though Kiddush you don't have to drink. Le'inyan b'yaitza the bracha b'yayin you should drink. The Pirush Le'el. Le'inyan yayin like potter elam ken shasa. Only if you drank, to have a hefsek in a minute because the mebarchen. If he walks home and he doesn't drink anything, right? In other words, guys, listen. What's he saying? You hear in shul, you hear someone make a bar piagofen. You walk home and what? And you're gonna go. So he said you yaitzi yedei yayin. So what's he telling you? That's only if you actually drank it in shul. But you can't possibly say you heard the bracha in shul, you walked home 10 minutes, and then you took a drink of wine. That's zich is a hefsek. That's a hefsek. So when does Rabbi Yochanan say yoytzi de yayin? If you would take a drink in shul and then go home, you would not have to make a bracha on the yayin in your house. But zicha, you took a drink in shul. In other words, Taisus is qualifying the shita. Don't think for a second. Guys, you heard Kiddush, right? How will you yaitz the Kiddush? Through what? Good. You'd have a half meaning that you yaitz birchas bar pegafen, right? And the answer is no, not. That's a hefsek. You have to drink something. That's what he says. Okay, now, so what? Not linyan birchas hanena. Not linyan birchas hanena.
Your wife and kids have to drink Friday night from the wine?
Yes. They should drink Friday night from the wine, 1,000%. They should, right? Day is not. Again, the Kiddush Deraisa, they should definitely drink from the wine. If you have, again, very important, if you have you have to drink. If you have a lot of kids, you have to drink Roiv Kois at least. So sometimes, be sure if you have a lot of people, go ahead, take on the table, put some wine in a cup, and you just take a little bit of Kiddush, throw it in the cup, and that's good. You have a little bit and then give that out. Besides, the Bismana said that blue bottle, they all love that. The what?
Do they drink anything?
Good stuff.
What do you mean?
Like, my son's allergic to wine. You can't have wine at all.
Grape juice?
Grape juice you can, but I don't make this in grape juice.
So what I do is, I guess you should put grape juice on the table and have in mind. Have that, yeah. Put the grape juice on the table and have that in mind. If he just breaks out with a little rash when he drinks it, or anything more serious than that?
Right now it's that.
No, because if it's that, you might want to keep on fostering it. He'll get rid of it. I'm saying I've PDD have you of it, not with me because I'm an alcoholic. But I'm saying, yeah, people in my family have, they stuck with it and it went away. Again, certainly not heavy wine, but again, over time, you want to be the Darba crisis. You want to, wine plays a predominant role in our society. So you could try keep, if it's only the rash, it's if it's worse than that, not, but only the rash. All right, so then you can get over it. Speak to an allergist, but I'm telling you, I think it's something you can get used to. Your body can get used to it. Yeah, you ask him.
He had that problem with meat. He was allergic to meat. They kept eating meat until he got.
Yankel, I know him a long. Yankel, I know him a long time. Trust me. He also makes wine, by the way. He makes a very, very good bottle of wine. He does. He makes a really good bottle of wine. What? Nah, he's listen. He's I want to be like him when I grow up. Okay, anyway. Echad shina yayin, whether it's a different type of wine, echad shina makom, or whether it's a different place, ain't tzarich levarich. You don't have to go ahead and make another bracha. So even if it's a shini makom, right? You don't have to make another bracha according to Rabbi Yochanan. Now, if you look at Rashbam, echad shini makom l'chol davar hanachal, anything. Ain't tzarich levarich shniya a second time, or going shaloi hoyelei hesach hadas b'ntayim. He says, as long as there wasn't hesach hadas b'ntayim, that he says, it seems Rav seems to say that shini makim automatically is hesach hadas. Different.
I know, but why?
Well, you think a better sort of wine? Maybe you want your first bracha on that. Right? Okay, so anyway, so three shittas. Okay, Shmuel, let's say Rav, Yayin, no, Kiddush, yes. Shmuel, neither. Rabbi Yochanan, both. Those are the three shittas. Meisibei, Shini Makom, if you change your place, Sarach Levarech. Shini Yayin, if you change the Yayin, right? Ain't it Sarach Levarech? A clear brisa that says, Shini Makom, you have to go ahead, what? So for the very few times in Shas, guys, Tiyufta the Rabbi Yochanan Tiyufta. Rabbi Yochanan is the greatest of all Amoraim. Guys, Machloikis Rabbi Yochanan and Rav, Halachik Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was the greatest of and Rav. I don't know. They never say Rabbi Yochanan Tanahu Polik. They say Rav Tanahu Polik. Yet Machloikis Rabbi Yochanan and Rav, the Halachik like Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so to have Rabbi Yochanan Tiyufta to be knocked out is not is very, very, very rare.
In terms of where he stood in stature, wasn't he one of the?
Are you mixing up Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai and Hillel? Those are Tanoim.
Right.
This is not my Rabbi Yochanan. You're mixing up Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai.
There is one Yerushalmi that says Rabbi Yochanan Tanu Polik.
He's listed the most contrast.
Then we would see it here if he's able to.
But obviously the Bavli doesn't hold like that, and we're learning Bavli. Shepherdie for Yerushalmi for 900. Okay, anyway. Guys, you good? So we have a Shitis and we have the sugya of Kiddush Makom Suda. And before we go weiter, it's a new sugya weiter. Let's see some of the halachas of Kiddush Makom Suda, okay? So what's like, I'll go Reishayin Gimel, in Reishayin Gimel, in Orachayim, right? Yeah, there's a whole section, Reishayin Gimel, Shia Kiddush Makom Suda. says the Mechaber in Kiddush al Makom Suda ubebayis echad mipina lapina chashta Makom echad. In other words, if you're in the same house, one corner to the other corner, it's considered b'Makom echad. Shem Kiddush lechal b'pina v'nimlach lechal pina cheres. You make Kiddush in one corner and you change your mind. You get in another corner. I feel trackling God, leaving it's a big palace. Ain't it tzarich lachos kaddish as long as it's under one roof. Umibayis the sukkah chashav kipina lapina says that Mechaber. If you go from the house to the sukkah, it's also considered what the Ramah says. It's all considered one place. Even if you could see a place, ain't tzarich lachos kaddish. Let's say, guys, you're very good guys. You're outside. You're having a barbecue, a kiddush, not a barbecue, a kiddush on outside, right? And you see that's considered makom suda. That's your really it's your property. It's your bias. It's kiddush. You're over there. That would be makom suda. Yeah, I mean, okay, we don't want to barbecue too much. If you make kiddush in one place and the das in another place, that's okay. That's another. Provided they're in the same place. But from one room to another room, one igra to another igra, we said that to go from a duplex from one place to the other, we saw that Rav, the Shmuel made right from one place to another, he did. If you make kiddush and you're not soyed, you're not zat, you have to go make it. Immediately, you have to read exactly right away. Or you should be right away. Unless you had in mind to eat right away. If he das wasn't there, and you change your mind, that would be okay. Or you could say other people. Going in. Simon hey. A little bit, guys. You hear this? Now we saw Tosfos say lechem, right? We saw Tosfos say lechem. He says, "Then kiddush al makom suda." I feel achol davar mu'et, even a davar mu'et. Now, davar mu'et hainu al kol ponim shir kazayis. Says the Mishnah Berurah that shir kazayis the hay shechosov la bracha travayu koi. That it's going. He says over here the bracha is going on both. It says Ashasa Kashayin Shechayev Lo Bracha. So this bracha is not going on in Koshel Yayin. It's also going back on the Davar Mu'et. And you wouldn't make a bracha and then let's make a zayis. So when the Rabbi said bracha, it's got to be going back on that as well. And so you have to drink a revius. Now, Yotzi de Kiddush. So Yotzi de Kiddush Makom Suda. The Goyim Sudasa b'Makom Acher. The Dafka Ochel Lechem Ashasa Yayin. Aval Ochel Peiris Loi. In other words, you could be Yotze Kiddush Makom Suda with drinking wine. You can't be Yotze with Lechem. You can't be Yotze with Peiris. Right? And now what about other mini targima? What about all other things? The Aishasa Yayin says the Mishnah Berurah, the Kol Shekainim Achol mini targima Mechamesha Shvat meaning Yotze. If you Yotze with wine, he said, then certainly you would be Yotze with Mizainis. That's why it's very makbid when you're in shul to have that cracker. You should have a cracker or something because again, you're not eating lechem in shul unless you're washing. You're not Yotze with fish, certainly not Yotze with fish. But you should have mezainis. That's what you have over here. Ubaifin says the Dirshu sheyotza chayved b'achilas mezainis v'roitza lishtei shar mashkin achilasai. If you're yotza yechiev of eating with mezainis, you want to drink other things. Kasav el shemshtasam oli logmav yayin v'daita hoysa lishtei oid mashkin. If you drank wine and you had in mind other drinks, poita yayin ashar mashkin. In other words, guys, you buy kiddush. You buy kiddush in shul. You make you drink kais of wine. You make a mezainis. Pass the soda. You wouldn't have to make a shackle. You'd be yoitza. You'd be mitzi the shackle with the wine. You might be mitzi the shackle with the wine.
Yeah, with drinking soda.
Yeah. So drink. So again, that's Chama Medina. Then right. So listen. Miyad achar feels mezainis. If you want to make a suda right afterwards, that's the going to Yashiv. Should circle barach koydin l'chein brech achroina. Oh, this is a very common thing. You have to kiddush. You're going to eat it right away. Let's say you're in your house and you make kiddush. You can make kiddush right away. Do you have to make an ala michya? So he says, Then right to listen miyad achachilas mizoinus. You want to make a suda immediately afterwards. Das again of al yashiv shet sorich levarich koidim lechein brechas achreina v'lishois perik zmanat suuda. And wait a little bit. Kidei lahachnas the suffix bracha achreina. He said, Rabbi Yasha says you should make a bracha achreina and wait a little bit. That you shouldn't be nechtas to a suffix. It's in the sefer. Zaysa bracha, the sefer, comprehensive sefer on brachas.
That's if you're sitting and having a little kiddush.
Umitzah nofim grape juice. I'm dino kiyayim v'nechshav kesuda. Oishe dino kishar mashkin. That's a good of a yashiv. Is shemistabish and yoytza b'shtiyasa. You won't be yoytza. You won't be yoytza kiddush macham suda with grape juice. In other words, again, you're using your wine to be your suda. So in that scenario, grape juice won't do the job. Kivin she'ein soyed because it doesn't satiate. When we come up and kivin she'ein raya brewer kach, there's no clear raya to this. And soymech al kach shemitza novim yachshav sudo liyachsi. You wouldn't have to go back and make kiddush again. El yishma kiddush miyachi, you have to another person. And Weisner also held as like.
Israeli grape juice, yeah, but the American grape juice is different.
I don't know.
I think we actually said it.
Okay. So
What do you do when you do that?
What?
You go to Kiddush, shul, they make Kiddush.
Yeah.
The people who make the suda, they just move everything around, they push the tables, and then they go eat. They have to make Kiddush again?
why? You didn't change your place. No,
Yeah,
it's
they-
makom. It's kiddush makom suda. You don't have to
That's
change.
considered makom suda,
Sure.
even though they've sat-
The makom means makom. It's right there. It's right there.
Not that they buy the table.
If you eat an hour later,
Might be a long time later. You have
Set
set
up.
up now, then they set up for lunch.
That's not considered like what we said yesterday, when you cover the table and you're changing things.
no. So what's your shaila? You made kiddush already. You don't have to make kiddush again. Okay, you're saying, but again, so
It's the Shabbos day.
so we said you have to eat something miyad. So again, I hear. So you ate something miyad, and so you were yoytz kiddush makom suda. Now you have to make another kiddush. You were yoytz. No, I think the kiddush makom suda would be if you go to another place. If you're in one place, you can't be yoytz kiddush makom suda twice. So I say you don't have to make kiddush again. You don't have to make kiddush again. Okay, the second part of the shir is has to do with shinoi, changing places and making brachas. So that's where kuf aleph on the base. So Yosef Rav Idi bar Ovin kamed Rav Chisda, and they never told us in yeshiva, guys, a sof and a shin are interchangeable in Aramaic, right? So tlas is shalosh. So the word Yosef, if you put a shin for the taf, it becomes Yosef. Okay, Yosef Rav Idi bar Ovin kamed Rav Chisda. The Yosef Rav Chisda v'kama mishmei Rav Huna, and he said in the name of Rav Huna, Hodi Amit Shini Makam Sarach Levarech. That we say in the Bryce above, that when you change your place, you have to make a new bracha. Like Shanu Elam Yibayis Lebayis. Literally, you're changing your place. Aval Lamakim Lamakim in the same house, like if it's in the same place in the same house, and you're changing places, you go from one to another, you would not have to make another bracha. Amle Ravidi Barovin Hachi Talina Lemasmislan Debei Rav Hinik. This we learned in a price in the yeshiva of Hinik. Bimila Masislan Debei Bar Hinik. So the question is exactly what his name was. Was his name Hinik or Bar Hinik? Kabasach, like you. Like he said, like you, that what? That if you're in the same house, even though you change places, you don't have to make a different bracha. Bel Rav Huna Mastisa Kamashmalon. Rav Huna is telling us a brisa. Rashbam doesn't like this. He says many times the Amar repeats something. So Rav Huna Mastisa Leshmilu. He didn't hear this, right? So that's one din. The din of what the din of shinoi of shinoi going from one place to another in the same house. You would not have to make a different bracha. Now.
So how come Shmuel went from upstairs to downstairs?
That was kiddush. That was kiddush. Now, V'su Yosef Rav Chisda v'kama mishmei de nafshei. Rav Chisda said, not in the name of Rav Huna, but he said himself, Hadi amit shinoi makim sarach levarech. That they would say shini makim. If you change your place, sarach levarech, you have to make a new bracha. Le'amorin ella, guys, bidvarim she'ein tu'unim bracha lachareihem. Only something that will not require a nach bracha. Now, there's nothing that basically doesn't require a nach bracha. What it means over here, according to the Rashbam, is ala michya. A boring nefashos is not considered a nach bracha. It's not considered a bracha. Why? Because it's not a bracha chashuva. It doesn't have a beginning bracha and an end bracha. It's just one bracha, right? A chashuva bracha has a psicha of baruch and a chasima of baruch, a beginning of baruch and an end of baruch. So if the food I'm eating, right, I'm changing places, right, and the food I'm eating is not going to require, guys, is not going to require a chashuva bracha, then I'm going to have to make another bracha. Why? Because when I leave, my act of leaving is considered I'm being Mesach Das. I'm leaving completely. Meaning I'm not coming back, guys. I'm not coming back here. Why am I not coming back here? Because I want to make a bracha. So in other words, we have to look at what you eat, says Rav Chisda, to ascertain exactly what the halacha is over here. So the balt over here, I don't have to return because it's not a bracha chashuva. Therefore, you have to make a new bracha wherever you are. But brachas that require a nach bracha to come back to the place and you leave, ain't sarach levarich. My timer, lekiva kama hadar. He's coming back to his original kaviyas. He's coming back to his original kaviyas. Guys, he goes ahead, right? He has a guy has a he's got a Dr. Brown's diet cherry soda, established 1868. Who's gonna check, right? Right? You go ahead. You like Dr. Brown's cherry soda. Ashak on the Edvarei. You walk out, and now, there's this Dr. Brown's celery soda. Mamish, right? After you have your head examined for drinking the stuff, what do? Do you have to make another bracha or not? And the answer is you have to make another bracha. Why? Because you're not going. Once you finished your bracha on the cherry soda, there's nothing left to do. There's a burning of flashlights. That's not a bracha chashuva to stop my change of place from being considered like a mesach das. You went ahead and you had a nice starker knish, a knish that was mamish full of mizainas. What's that called? Gaboldis. What's gabilas, right? Gabilas, mamish. It's mamish. Yes, directly alarmed it. Now you have a Gabilas, he's getting excited. He's just he's getting hungry. Now you have a Gabila, you have a Mizainis, right? Right? Okay. Because you have a Gabilas Kanish, right? And and you leave, you're not gonna have to make a new why, because you have to go back. So your leaving is not an end of the original thing. You still have to hold the Kavias, you have to go back to the original Gabilas Kanish. You have to go back to the Mizainis. So that's the svar over here. That's the svara. That's what the svara. So Nachma, one more time in the words. The su yasser of Kislev Kamenish made an avshay hodam it shinimakim. That is to say shinimakim tzarich levarich le'amarin el bedvarim shein tunim bracha lachrayim. Something that is not near bracha afterwards, meaning a bracha chashuva, such as b'rin nefashos. Then, since it doesn't need lachrayim b'mkomam, you have to make a new bracha. Avol devarim hatunim bracha lachrayim b'mkomam. Things that you have to make al alamichya ain't tzarich levarich. You don't have to go ahead and make a bracha. My timer, you're going back to the ritual. Now, Tosfos disagrees with Rashba. Tosfos says that he says the varim that and big nafmin and halacha. He says you have to make a new bracha even though you left the gabilas kanish. The only thing you might have to make a bracha on is if you washed. In other words, it's one darga more. He says that tzarich bracha after means only benching, but a birchas meaning shlolish, right? The alamichya that still is considered. Tosfos considers the bracha of alamichya like the burn of fashais of the Rashba. It's the same thing. That's what Tosfos says. Okay, that's Rav Chisda. Rav Sheshes Amar. Rav Sheshes said, "Echad zeh v'echad zeh." Says Rav Sheshes, "Echad zeh v'echad zeh." Whether it's something that needs a bracha before you have to return, it doesn't make a difference. You have to go ahead and make a bracha. He doesn't make a distinction in what you eat. He just goes after the makan. Meisivei was asking a kasha. Bnei Chabura shayim mesubim lishtois. They were sitting down to drink. The okur ragleim latzeis, and the okur ragleim to go. Why would there be okur ragleim? It must be that by okur ragleim means they must have been having a ragleim that was a real suda. It wasn't a snack. The okur ragleim to go. Why were they going out for? Likras chasan or likras kala, to go ahead and dance for chasan and the kala. Now, kishen yotzin, when they leave, ein tu'unim bracha lemafreya. When they leave, they do not require a bracha achrayna. They don't require a bracha lemafreya. Kishen chayzrin, however, In other words, they wouldn't require enough bracha when they leave. However, Kishein Chayzrin ain't tu'unim bracha lechatchila. Then when they return, they would not need a bracha lechatchila. Means a far bracha. Guys, achroina here means the bracha achroina. Chila means the bracha rishona. So again, right. So now, b'medim amurim. When wouldn't they have to make a new bracha when they leave or when they come back? That's shanichu sham zakein oichayla. When they left a person who couldn't go dance, he was sick or he was old. Because now, by leaving a person there, you haven't left the meal completely. If you didn't leave over there, he didn't leave over there what? Anybody who was sick. He left nobody. When they go out, tuna bracha l'mafreya, they'd have to bench or make enough bracha. When they come back, tuna bracha l'chatchila. Now, Nidiktani akru raglehem. When they learned that what? They left the akru raglehem, mechlal, we can infer, b'devar matunim bracha l'achrehem, b'mkom askinan. It must be something that you have to make a bracha afterwards. Akar ragleim means they're sitting by a suda. They bring akar ragleim. The reason why they don't have to make a bracha is the haynichu sham zakin achayla. Who the kshehin yotzin ain't toyin bracha mafreya kshein chayz ain't toyin bracha lechatchila. Guys, the very very subtle diak. The reason why they don't have to make another bracha is because they left somebody there. Leaving somebody there meant your suda was still intact. Let's say they left and they didn't leave anybody there. Then what? They would have to make another bracha. Now, what did they leave? Obviously, they left bread or the equivalent of bread because it says oikar ragleihem and they left a meal. So they weren't drinking Dr. Brown's. They were having a real meal. They were having a real meal. And nonetheless, it says, unless they left people there, they'd have to make a bracha. Kashan Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda said, we don't look at who was there, we only look at the food. As long as the food is a bracha, I'm going to have to, according to Rashbam, make a alamichya on. Or according to Taisa's bench, then you don't make another bracha, despite the fact there was no one left there. But we have a brisa, a Tana saying, the only time you're going to not make a bracha is only when you left people there. And the Suda was therefore intact. But if there was no one there, despite the fact that you washed, you would have to do it again, despite the fact that you have to bench. So the kasha on Rav Chisda. Again, one more time. What was Rav Chisda's then? Rav Chisda was mechadish to the following. If you change your place, you have to make a bracha. When you change your place, you have to make a bracha is only if, by leaving, I have no connection to my original bracha. Dr. Brown's, no connection. Bari Fashas doesn't work. Good? What happens if I have a connection to my original bracha? Let's stay with the Rashbam. I have a connection to my original, I means I have to go back. What is that? Mizainis. Or better benching, then my leaving is not a sign that I left my original meal because I have to go make I have to sarich levarich bin koma. I have to go back to the makkah to make the bracha, right? When you bench, you have to go back to the place. So if I have to go back to the place, what did my leaving accomplish? Nothing, right? I'm going back. Therefore, you wouldn't have to make a bracha. Right? The Gemara, I just quoted a brisa and said you don't have to make a bracha with one addendum. What's the caveat? That's the addendum. There's got to be people there. What happens if there's no people there? Despite the fact that the food was an alamichya or gas, I'm still gonna have to make a bracha. This is a Tana speaking. Kashan of Chisda. Kashan of Chisda. 72 minutes. I mean, this time. Okay, whatever. Now, says the Gemara. So let's see one more time. When do we say that what? That you don't have to make a bracha when you go back or when you leave? You left the person there, which left the student back. They have to make enough bracha. Now, we can ascertain what are we dealing with? We're dealing with a food that would require, right, a benching or al-michya. And the reason why they don't have to make a bracha, the nichasham zakin chayla. Who the kshein yotzin ain't tuna bracha l'mafreya, ukshein chayzin ain't tuna bracha l'chatchila. Very wordy Gemara. Aval lo yinich sham zakin achayla, kshein yotzin tuna bracha l'mafreya, ukshein chayzin tuna bracha l'chatchila. Kashal Rav Chisda. Right, the Gemara spells it out. And for the Gemara of Nachman Yitzchak, man Tana Akiras Rabbi Yehuda. Who's the Tana of Akira? That's Rabbi Yehuda. And the Chachamim argue. The brisa that we just mentioned, that Akiras Agleim. You have to leave over there. What? You have to leave people as Zakin or Chayla. That's the Das Yochid. That's Rabbi Yehuda. What did the Chachamim say? Even if you don't leave anybody, you don't have to make a bracha. Who does Rav Chisda hold like? The Rabbanan who argue on Rav Yehuda.
Shkoyach, thank you.
Share them off in a